Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining Google Educator Group Nagoya here in Japan, as well as our friends from GEG Ortigas in the Philippines for another episode of our 2020 YouTube live series. And today we're going to be talking to you about Google Sheets, but we'll get that into a moment. I want my man Gary to say hello to everybody.
Hi everyone, Gary Garcia from the Philippines. I hope you're tuning in and I hope you learn a lot. Just make sure to give your comments, ask questions, put it in the comments area if you have some.
And I've just thrown into the comments a slide deck that you can use to follow along with us as we go. So we're going to jump in. When we start these, do these things, we do usually have a little bit of background, what we're going to do, who we are, and all that kind of stuff. So let me just share my screen here for a moment, and we'll give you a bit of the background, and then we're going to jump right into talking about Google Sheets. So we got some stuff we think is practical, yet also kind of cool. So we changed the name a little bit for this. We're not looking at just data and that. We wanted to be sure that people knew that we're looking at practical ideas for the classroom using Google Sheets. And when you're using Google Sheets, you're inherently using data anyway. So today is one of those apps that people tend to avoid unless they they use it for some very specific things they know how to do. We're going to give you a few more ideas for that. Okay. First off, let's introduce GEG Nagoya, Google Educator Group Nagoya. Tell you what GEGs are in a moment, but we're based in central Japan, and we're reaching out. We want people to join our group, come and share your ideas for using technology for teaching and learning. You can find us at www.gegnagoya.com. Let's hear a little bit about GEG Ortigas.
Oh, okay. GEG Ortigas is basically in the midst of a business district. So we're situated in Quezon City, surrounded by malls, surrounded by schools. Most of the time, it's all business establishments. So GEG Ortigas is now leading free webinars, just like GEG Nagoya. We're trying to educate, empower teachers because the situation right now is all teachers are being forced to go online. So what we're trying to do, that is what we're trying to do, empower teachers to be equipped for the coming school year for distance learning. So making everyone ready.
Great stuff. And we have Maravich that just joined in. Good evening to you as well. Hope I pronounced your name correctly. So GEGs, in particular in Japan, we got a whole pile of them. This map is never up to date because there's always new ones opening. But if you live in Japan, have a look for some of these Google Educator groups around the country. Reach out. You can find them online. Look for the Google Teacher Center and look for communities, and you will find one of these good people to help you get your tech skills up and going for education. So what do GEGs do? We have a lot of different kinds of events. We have face-to-face live events. Sometimes, depending on your city, you get into a Google office for events on things like Google Earth. We have study groups getting ready for the Google Certified Educator exams. We have obviously these online events and things like that. There's a lot going on. So if you want to know what's happening in the Asia Pacific region, we do have Google Educator Group Asia Pacific Connect. And if you go to sites.google.com/view GEG Asia, you're going to see all these different GEGs in different countries around the Asia Pacific region. We put on events together probably every 4 months or so. And we bring people together for online learning events. We got some cool stuff in the works that we're going to be talking about in the next month or two, so stay tuned. So a little bit about myself very quickly. My name is Nate Gildart. I am actually a teacher, former technology coach. I teach history, social studies, individuals and societies. If you're an international baccalaureate teacher, I'm a Google Educator, Google for Education trainer, innovator, have been an innovator coach once, Google Earth expert, YouTube certified, among a whole bunch of other things. Basically, I like doing a lot with technology in the classroom, but I keep in mind that technology is a tool to support learning. If you want to get in touch with me, at nathangildart.com, or check one of my two websites, learninglightbulbs.com or socialstudiessamurai.com, which is my favorite. Let's have Gary tell you a bit about himself.
So I'm the leader for GEG Ortigas. I'm a senior high school teacher for Holy Spirit Academy of Malolos. I'm also a part-time professor for Bulacan State University here in the Central Luzon. I'm a Google for Education certified trainer and innovator. Last year, the Southeast Asia 2019, I was fortunate to be one of the coaches. Okay, so I'm also a Microsoft Office user specialist. And recently, I was labeled by the Department of Education here in the Philippines as the EdTech Dad
Yeah.
and a lifelong learner.
And the EdTech dad you are.
So if you want to get in touch, on Twitter at Garcia. You can visit my website also, edtechandbeyond.com, or you visit my channel, youtube.com/edtechandbeyond.
Wonderful. All right. So what are we going to be doing today, folks? Well, we're going to give you an overview of Google Sheets, the basics there. We're going to give you some ideas on how to use Sheets to organize your classroom. And that includes, kind of not only formatting, but organizing data. Then we're going to get into some basic things like, using filters. As we go through these different things, we'll show you all these little tricks within Sheets that you can use. Gary's going to jump in, especially when we talk about add-ons to make your Google Sheets work a lot more efficiently, building functionality. And then we're going to show you some, good ideas, actually, that you might want to try, believe it or not, using Google Sheets in your classroom. Before we get into that, we're just going to say episode 7 we'll be hosting in July, and it's going to be about creating powerful visuals with Google Drawing. So stay tuned for that. And if you are this is actually online. We're doing at GEG Nagoya an online Google Certified Educator Study Group, and registration closes on June 14th. So again, go to gegnagoya.com. And have a look for our study group, and you can register there. We'll throw a link at some point in the chat and YouTube, and we can help you get ready for the Google Certified Educator Level 1 exam. And, jumped ahead a little bit too far. And last but not least, you notice this t-shirt I'm wearing right here. Google has a program. If you are Level 2 certified, you can become a Google for Education Certified Innovator, and they're hosting their first ever Virtual Innovator Academy. So check out hashtag VIA20 and see how you can become a Google Certified Innovator. And stay tuned. It's not quite on the web yet, but the application deadline is going to come in July. So without further ado, we are going to kind of jump out of this, and we're going to jump into learning about Google Sheets. Gary, you got anything to throw in there?
Okay. Where do I start? Which one do you like me to?
Oh, no, I'll start from there. I just mean in terms of introducing. Was there anything you wanted to just kind
of? I'd like to join again the Innovator group, but for this year, there's only one cohort, and it's online, right?
Yeah.
So last year we have 4 or around 5, but since because of the pandemic, we only have one cohort, and hope you can all join. But I don't know if there's a limit with the participants. Is there a limit?
There usually is, but that information will come out sooner than later.
Okay, hopefully they can accommodate more teachers to join this particular cohort since it's online.
Yeah, it's a great group of educators that are really passionate about what they do. Okay, so now first thing we want to do is kind of get you sorted on Google Sheets, as in where do I get these Google Sheets things, right? So if you haven't accessed Google Sheets before, and this is new for you, there's different ways to do it. You see up here, we've got what we call our apps launcher, these little, square dots here, right, where it has all your Google apps. So you can tap on that. And if you want to scroll down, you can find Sheets and tap there. Or if you want, you could simply click on go into Google Drive. And then you can go up to New and wait for it to load. You see I have a whole bunch of sheets open right there. So you click your plus button in Drive. You go down to Sheets, and then you can either create a blank spreadsheet. We're not going to do that just yet. Or you can create from a template. One other way, too. If you go to your Omnibox here, you just have to type in sheets.google.com. And you notice this, you'll tap on that, and it's going to take you right to their landing page. So there's 3 different ways you can access Google Sheets. So now I've accessed using sheets.google.com, and you see all my different sheets, but that's not what I want to do. I want to show you the templates. So,
hey, Nate, before you continue.
Yeah.
I have one more way of creating a new sheet. Just type sheets.new.
Yeah, sheets.new, that's right.
Create a
doc
new one.
or docs.new, or throw that in there. Throw it in the chat box there. All right.
Yep.
So if you go into new and then you go to sheets, I want to show you this from a template, right? So if you tap on that, now sheets doesn't have a lot of educational based templates, but they do have a few that I think would be useful and you should know about. So you notice here, even though I've come into my template gallery, right, I could create a blank one from there. It's already suggesting these few up here because I'm a teacher and they see, you know, kind of where I'm going. If you scroll down, you notice you've got your little titles right here, right? If you go down a little bit further, then you see education. So we've got an attendance sheet, a gradebook sheet, and assignment tracker. Now, the nice thing about these is that all the formatting is done for you. And I highly recommend that you use this because you're going to save yourself a bucket load of time. So I'm actually going to close this because I've got in the slide deck here the examples that I want to show you. So we're going to start with the attendance one. So let me just click on the link. And again, the slide deck is that tiny URL in the YouTube chat. So you can go to slide number 15, and then you can access this, and you can kind of follow along, right? So essentially, when your attendance sheet is made for you, like I said, it's got everything already prepared for you. So you know, you're going to have to go in and change your dates, but that's not really a big deal. They have a nice attendance key here for you, right? So P is present, L, E, and U. You can, of course, go in and change those for you, but it's attendance, right? You're there, you're late, you're excused, or you're unexcused, and nobody knows where you are. So the nice thing about this is it keeps track here of all those days that you're there or you're not. So basically, all I have to do is type in the P, E, just go through my list every morning. And you notice on the side here, things are changing a little bit, right? So when I enter these, so now you notice that everybody's got some kind of change, present, they're late. So the numbers change, and it's just really, really convenient. You can go in and change the class name, obviously the teacher name, and get your students in there. You notice that they have the rows that are a little bit grayed out and then whited out, so that it visually is a little bit easier for you to see. Now, something that I do like about a data sheet that we already have, if you go down to the bottom here in the bottom right, and we'll use this again later tonight. If you click on Explore, it
Kindly
gives
remove
you
the banner so they can see the lower part of your sheet.
let's see, is there, oh yeah, let me go back and remove the banner. Thank you. Give me one moment here, folks. Now you got the inside view. All right, wonderful. So thank you, Gary. So here you can see that you've got different ways that you can analyze. Now you don't see a lot here right now, but we're going to come back to this. But I want to emphasize this Explore button that you're going to see in the bottom right of all your Google apps, actually, right? Again, if you don't like the colors, then you can easily change the formatting, right? So for example, in this cell or all of these cells, let's highlight the whole thing. Like any other Google tool, you can see your fill color and you can change the colors of things. You can change the the text and the size of the fonts and all that. You can even include images here if you want to put like your school logo or something like that. We're not going to go through all the different features because we're going to get to this very shortly. I will show the filter feature right now, though. We might come back to it a little bit later. But up here, right, this is your filter. And if you want to look at, say you've got like 40 or 50 students in this list, and you're looking just for one student, well, all you have to do is go up to the filter and then click Create New Filter View, right? All right, so now I have this view right here, and if I go up here, all I have to do is tap on that down arrow, right? You see that? Let me tap out here. There's that down arrow, and what you want to do is clear everything. And let's say I just want to find one particular student. I'm going to go student 5, and look, it popped up right there. I'm going to click that. I know I've selected it. I'm going to click OK, and then it gets rid of all the other students, and I can just go, okay, well, how was that student doing here, right? So a very nice feature, typical of spreadsheets for several decades now. But we definitely wanted to point that out to you. Gary, any other suggestions for an attendance sheet, ways people might use?
For them not to mistake, not to press other letters, I suggest that they can use the validation, the validation for each column. So
Yep.
they won't, let's say, instead of P, they press O. So to prevent that from happening, what we can do is we format the cells wherein it will only limit the entry for P for present, L for late, or A for absent. So we can do that by right-clicking the cell itself or the column, the entire column. For example, go
Okay,
ahead
so I'm going to go up here. I'm going to right click
and then data validation. Go to
down
data
at the bottom
validation.
here. Yep.
Yep. And then you can put there from the list, instead of from the list, not from the range, but from the list
Of items.
items, yes. And then
Okay.
you type the acceptable answers P, comma, L, comma, A. So
Right.
it separate them with comma, P, L, and A.
Was
So
it
then,
EL? I think it's late E or U actually.
okay, go
Right?
ahead.
E,
P, what are the
U.
acceptable?
Yep.
Okay, and then
Well, actually, we're going to go into this in a little minute, but let's show how that turns this into a drop-down menu.
yes. So
Right.
great. So you don't mistakenly type other letters. So it won't accept any answer, only the allowable ones.
Exactly. And the drop-down menus are quite useful in other ways. We're going to show you that in another sheet in a moment, actually. So let's
Okay.
close that. We just got into an attendant. No, thanks for pointing that out because we use the same features in many different kinds of sheets. So it's important to reinforce that, oh yeah, I can do that in this one too, right? So
Yes.
now what I like about the grade book, okay, now remember, they already have the template made for you, right? So if you look here, they've already got it set up nicely where you've got your grade distribution and your scores. Once this loads, you're going to see the different scores, right? So it actually gives you the overview in your first tab down at the bottom there, right? Then you've got your grades, and then you have, all right, so your grades would go in here with your assignments. We'll look at that in a moment. Then you have your individual report where you can see how each individual student's done, and then with a drop-down arrow, kind of like what Gary just mentioned, look at each individual student. So again, we've got our overview here, but what I want to do is say, all right, pay attention to these charts right here, okay? Now, these were made from using the Explore button, okay? Now, so if I tap on grades, so let's say I've got my students in my class, this has already been formatted so that each, the grades are worth a certain amount, right? You could even take that out if you want. So I'm going to go up here. Let's say I had another homework grade that I wanted to add. And let's say the grade was out of 10. And then I was to go in and put in the grade. So it's out of 10. So let's say we're doing okay here. Maybe one person or two people are struggling a little bit. And so now you notice that I've got the average here for all the different grades because it's already formatted for me. And then I've got the numbers here. Now let's go back and see what the overview looks like. All right, so you see now that these have changed a little bit. So it automatically changes it for you. Way cool as far as I'm concerned. Now, and again, coming back here, this is already pre-formatted for you. If you want to change the values of things, all you have to do is go in. Now here you've got your numbers, right? Sorry, your letters. That's already set in there for you. What you've got here is the values connected to the numbers that go in. So, for example, where are we at here? So there we go. Sorry, clicking the wrong ones here. So they've already got formulas pre-made for you. You can go back in and change them if you would like. We're not going to go that deep into this session right now because, again, we only have an hour and we're already a third of the way through it. But let's go to this individual report. And so notice here, this is student one. I get like a sense of how they're doing in their in the class, as you know, their grades as opposed to the class. Now, maybe you're a teacher that doesn't like to do this, and that's okay. Let's say I wanted to see how another student did. All I had to do is hit the drop-down arrow, and now you see my snapshot view has changed a little bit, and I've got student 2 in the class average. Really quick way to get that snapshot of an individual student. And the nice thing is this is made from a template, right? Gary, how would you use this? Any other thoughts on that?
Well, I'm using the same way, so I can evaluate the performance of its students, and I know which of my students should I pay attention more. No, so it's a good graphical representation of the individual performance of the students. So
Yeah.
same thing. I use the same thing, exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, getting the whole view of what's going on in your class is kind of like, oh, okay. Now I'm going to show you another way to use Google Sheets to kind of track curriculum, which gives me my best snapshot. And that's not necessarily how students are doing, but what I'm teaching. All right, so we're going to close that one up there. And again, if people, let me just throw this back in the YouTube chat here, because you can follow along with these with us if you'd like, right? Okay, so the next one's curriculum track. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go with curriculum tracking because this is what a teacher would use. Now, this is a separate one that I made myself. Now, you'll notice that this looks a little bit, not formatted and that kind of thing. So we're going to go through some formatting with this in a moment. Just checking the comments as we go. Just got to wait for this to load for one moment. Now, I am an international baccalaureate teacher, so this is my curriculum tracking for the middle years program. So I've got a little template here. I encourage you to always make a template of anything that you do. That way, you can just easily make it for the next class or the next quarter or semester or whatever it is. So here's what this looks like in a formatted version. So I've got my first two rows at the top frozen, and what I can do is look to the left at my specific curriculum criteria, and we call these task specific criterion. And we have to teach each one of these things that has a little Roman numeral 2 times every semester by IB standards. So for me, I was thinking, how can I track and be sure that I'm actually teaching and assessing each of the criterion. So what I did was set up this this sheet in such a way that it's easy for me to go in. So I've got my assignment here, and all I had to do, I went and linked this. So now I get my bird's eye view of, oh yeah, that's the assignment, and I can tap on it, and I can look at the assignment to refresh my mind about what I was thinking about in my sheet, right? Now this is a sample made for this presentation, so it doesn't have the detail, but whenever I give my students an assignment, I always have a Google Doc, and I usually have some kind of image that looks good. And there's an intro, what they have to do, the assessment criteria, and that's where I can remind myself, that's what I assessed in this assignment. And of course, there's the resources. So this is actually for students, but it serves as a reminder for me. So what I do is, let's say it was knowing and understanding. So in this assignment, I wanted to assess this criterion and that criterion. Oh, look, that lit up, and it went into a shade of the same color. Let's say in this assignment right here, I also assessed this criterion. And let's say in this assignment, I assessed that one. And let's say, just for the sake of argument, all these. What this does for me, I know that I need to have 4 of these across my whole year, right? So let's say it's November, and I can say I have 2 of these. Ooh, I better get planning because I have to assess this at least 2 more times in these upcoming assignments, right? And this, whoa, I'm really behind on this one. So I can actually track that I've assessed everything that I have to do for my reporting to my school and the International Baccalaureate. Now, your question's probably, okay, cool. How did you do that? So if you can let me just quickly walk you through this. You can go back. This video is going to be kept on YouTube. First thing I want to do is create make my columns longer. So I'm actually just going to highlight these columns, and I'm going to right click. And so if I go down to, where is there we are, resize columns. I can see my columns are only 100, the number 100, whatever. I could choose fit to data, but maybe my data is going to be like the words in my data cells are going to be too long. So I'm just going to go with 150, and I'm going to tap that. And now you can see that it looks a little bit better, right? But at the same time, this needs to be a little bit longer, right? So what I think I'm going to do with that, I'm just going to highlight that column alone. I'm going to do the same thing, right click, resize, and I'm going to make that 200. And so now it's a little bit longer. I still have a bit of space here, but I'm going to add more assignments there. So I don't want to do that just yet. What I decide I'm going to do I'm actually going to highlight the whole column, and I'm going to go right up to here, and I'm going to do some text wrapping. And so if I tap the one that's got that little curved arrow, when I do that, then it takes all this text and puts it in there. Now, this doesn't look as pretty, but I prefer to have this way. So I think what I'll do too, since these are already in the center, I'm just going to highlight that stuff. And like any other formatting in a Google Doc, I'm just going to go up and do my formatting. I like to have my numbers and words and things like that at the top of a cell. So you might be asking, how did I get that checkbox in there? Let me just delete it. And these right here, actually, that's a title. So I don't need that in there. I'm going to take that out. I don't need these in here. I'm just going to highlight them and delete it. And in fact, I don't need this one in here too. Going to delete that. You see where I'm going with this, right? So let's say I want to make this pretty clear in terms of color for my visual, right? So I've highlighted that. I'm just going to go up to my paint bucket, and maybe I'll make that one aqua. And I'm going to go to my last one, or my next one, and I'm going to change that to a different color. So visually, I get something that's easy for me to see. And I could go and do that to the next two. So I won't do all of them for you right now because, hey, do we really have to? So the next thing I think I might want to do is make this look a little bit easier to follow. So I'm actually going to highlight that, and I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to click paste, okay? And then I'm going to go up to my first column. I'm going to delete it. Then I'm just going to right-click that, and I'm going to delete the row. Why did I do that, you might ask? Well, what I want to do is actually get all of this stuff with these first two columns frozen, so it's easy to see. So basically, I'm going to highlight my first and second row, and then I'm going to go up to View. I hope I'm not going too fast here, but I'm going to choose Freeze, and I'm going to choose 2 rows. And unfortunately, you can only choose 2 rows. So when I do that, though, you can see here now I've got this little gray bar. And that means I can scroll as much as I want. And I still know, as I get down to this criterion, where my assignment is, right? So it's much easier to view. What I probably would do is take out that assignment link. In fact, I'm going to take out that whole row. Number 3, right-click, delete the row. And so now I'm going to just link this. So let's say this is my report. I'm going to copy the link, and I'm going to highlight this text. So I'm tapping in there, I highlight, and I'm put in my link. I go up to my link icon here. I'm just going to paste it there, and I'm going to click apply. And so now I have a link so that when I tap on it, I get my bird's eye or my thumbnail view. And if I do that for all my assignments, I can quickly go to my assignment, remember and remind myself what criterion I have to check off. Oh, well, that didn't highlight, you ask. Okay, so what I'm going to do is highlight all of these together, okay? And then I'm going to go to Format. I hope I'm not going too quickly here for you, but this is kind of how you make these sheets really functional for you. Click Format.
No, just try.
Yep, that's right. There's lots of stuff on YouTube on how to do this, and you can always come back to this video too. So I'm going to choose conditional formatting. And in this instance, now I've chosen a whole range, so that means all of these are going to be affected. You can see here it's automatically given me a color. I'm going to choose a color that matches this. We're not finished yet, though. So you have to give rules, right? It says format rules. You want to give rules to your cells. So here, you're going to go down to is equal to, and then you're going to type the word true in capital letters, true. And when I click done, I'll close that up. Then you note that nothing's here. But when I tap on it, I get my color. And that gives me that visual representation. So let me just do that one more time for you. So I'm going to highlight all of these. I'm going to go to Format, Conditional Formatting, and I'm going to change this to is equal to. I'm going to type in TRUE, and then I'm going to change the color so that it looks like this one here. I click done, get rid of that, and boom. And so that allows me to confirm that, yes, I've done all my curriculum. And if we go back to the formatted version, you can see that I can always uncheck if I've made a mistake and that kind of thing. And the nice thing is, if I go down here to the tab and I click duplicate, it's going to give me a copy. I can rename it. And since grade 10 has the exact same criterion, well, not the exact same, but I can go in and just kind of change them up here a little bit, and I've already got my formatting done. Woohoo! I like it. So that's just another way you can track curriculum. Now, that is not in the Google Sheets templates, but another one that is. So the attendance is there, the gradebook's there, but the assignment tracker is one. Now, this is more for your students. If you want your students to track their assignments and stay within the Google ecosystem, right? This is one that's a template that might work well for you. So you notice here, and again, this is already formatted. I don't have to worry about anything. You can see these drop-down menus that Gary showed you earlier. Well, this is already set up for you. Now, here it's got another tab at the bottom that just gives you your subjects. There's not really a lot more that you're going to do with that. It just happens to be there. I don't find it particularly useful, but what is useful for a student is that this assignment tracker is here, and you can go in and change your start date. So note here, I've got a start date for June, and let's say I change this to yesterday, right? So you notice up in the top right, so I've highlighted this cell. Here it's already formatted. It says today +3. So that means June 9th as a start date +3. I'm going to change that to +1. Let me enter that. You notice it turned red because the due date is overdue. So if this is still in progress and I'm doing it and I see double red here, it's a reminder to me like, oh no, it's only a 2-hour assignment roughly, so I think I can get it done. Then when you're done, you can change it and you can say done, right? And there's your drop-down menus again that Gary had showed you, right? So, and again, you can choose the different subjects that you want. So let me show you here. If I go up to, let me just go right up here to my column. Like Gary showed you, we'll go to data, and then we're going to go down to data validation. And so here, we're going to go a list of items. And then I can change my list of items, math, comma, geography, comma, physics, comma, and it'll change everything in here for you. And then you'll have more. That's a feature I use with my homeroom class. I use it with a whole pile of different things, actually. In fact, I'm thinking that maybe this would be good for that criterion tracker, the curriculum tracker. I might put something together and see if that one works, right? So that's another one that is a template that you can use, and I think it's quite useful, to be honest with you. Gary, any thoughts on that?
Oh, that's very good. Maybe earlier you showed them how to use checkboxes, right? You make use of that. Maybe they are wondering, how do you create a checkbox? How do you do that?
Okay. I went in to show that and I completely got sidetracked. Yes. All right. So Gary, yes. How did I put these in? Walk us through. Let me put the cell in here.
So what you need to do is just highlight the cells. Okay. Let's say you want to put some checkboxes there. So what you need to do is just highlight the cells or the entire column, and then you go to insert, and then checkboxes, and then you'll get an instant checkbox. That's how you put it. So when it's checked, when it's selected, it means the value of that is true. Okay, so that is true. When it's not checked, it means it's false. So that is why earlier Nathan showed you that the condition is when it is true, you color it with this particular color. So conditional formatting. So there you go. That's how it's done. That's how it's detected, because our condition is true. When it's true, you put a color. Okay, so that's how it's done.
Yep, pretty straightforward, but pretty cool. And yes, I meant to show the checkbox, and I didn't. All right, so let me take that out, though. You just have to click delete, highlight it, delete, and you're done. Now, here's one other way you can organize your class, and that is with classroom resources. So I'm going to click on this. This is a sample based on something I've got in my own teaching practice. So you notice I've got my checkboxes here first, as well, sorry, at the end, because when I've gone through unit, now what I did in the very beginning was create my options here. So if I click on my drop-down arrow, I've got unit 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then if you're going through a course textbook or something, you might want to put the chapter. You might want to put the topic in the chapter. Probably really great for language learning, history, geography, things like that. Maybe even math. Well, probably any assignment, or excuse me, any subject, I would think. Now, what you might want to think about doing is if you have class notes in a slide deck. Now, I use a lot of slide decks in my history classes. So when I put links to my Google Sheets. So I don't tend to have class notes. For some, I do actually. So I'd have a link to class notes and a link to a slide deck. My students tend to prefer the slide decks to review. And then I've got any kind of reading from a text they might have. If you have videos, I recommend you put them in a playlist. So for example, here's a YouTube playlist on the history of Japan. And I've just simply linked the playlist. Now, how do you make this? That's a whole different thing that we'll do another time. Let me just pause this video because it's going to start in a moment, I know. So now here you see Diploma Program History Japan, and here are all my videos that I refer to or look at when I teach history. I never show a whole video, but I show little clips of these videos, and sometimes my students want to watch all of them or go back and review, right? So you can, or this could be a single video maybe if you want, right? So here's just another way that you can organize your class resources. Recommendation for you. Have you seen any other thoughts there, Gary, on what other people are doing with sheets to organize and manage their class?
Well, it's basically the same. Another tip for those who don't, because sometimes other teachers, they find the drop down symbol, the arrow down. They don't want to have it available in the cell. So you may or may not put it there, but if you don't like to put it, just highlight the cell, and then you go back to data validation, and then go ahead, let us show them. Go back to data validation, and then uncheck the drop down. But it will still have a drop down, but the difference is that it doesn't have the arrow. So what you can do now is just double click the cell. When you double click it, the choices will be displayed also.
Yeah,
so
that's
if you don't have the drop down arrow. So small things that sometimes, especially if you have a very, very narrow column, you might want to remove the drop down arrow, but still it will be there when you double click it.
Yep.
Okay.
And let's say I want to make this a little more consistent. I'm just going to highlight my column. I'm going to put all that stuff in the middle, and there we go. But yeah, little tricks like that actually make you want these to be good for you, right? Easy to navigate and that kind of thing. So little tips like that are always good. Okay, now let's just jump into the next one now. Now, formatting, you've noticed, we've talked about a few different ways where you can format. We're going to show you some sums and averages. So what I've done is gone in and I've created a couple of rubrics, right? So what you would do to get this sheet first is to create an assessment rubric, right? And so a Google form is actually a pretty good way to create a rubric. So in this sample that I'm giving you, now this is not the student view, this is the teacher view, right? It's an oral presentation assessment. And so I've got all my students here. And what I've actually done is use them in a drop-down menu. So when kids are given a presentation, if I'm grading them in real time, I can do it. Or even if I'm watching a recorded video and then grading it, it's easy for me to kind of do. So I set up my form where I've got my criterion. As an example, knowing and understanding is 1. In the IB world, we grade from number 1 to number 8. They don't have 0, which I like. If you're in the room, you've probably done something, right? And it's got the criterion here. So I'm not going to show you how to make a Google form. That's another session we did, and we have a video for it. But this would be a multiple choice grid. So I've got my criterion and then the possible grades I could give. And then I've got my second one, communication. Note, I've put a place for comments. So what I would do when I'm looking at the assessment, whether it's a live presentation or I've got a video copy of it, all I had to do is choose the date that I viewed it or assessed it. I got my drop-down menu, and I can choose the student. In fact, let me just do that. Why not, right? Since we're here today. And let's say I'm going to give a few grades for these, and I'm going to put comments in. Let's say some grades for these ones. Put my comment in, and I'm going to click submit. So, and then I just click submit another response, and then I can go to the next student kind of thing, right? Now, this creates a sheet, right, in Google Sheets. So if I was to go, I'm going to just click submit another response here and click my edit button. So if I was to go back to my form in the edit mode and I click responses, and if I go up to my three little dots here, then I can click create a form. I've already done this, so you can't see it, but it creates a new Google Sheet for you, right? Tap on that. So I've already made the sheet, so it gives me this. So now I put my numbers in here. So let's say I want to use that data, but I've got my comments in the way here. All I'm going to do is highlight this, and I'm going to choose hide column because I don't want that information getting in the way. I'm going to go up to J, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click that. I'm going to click hide column. And so now I've got my numbers here, right? So they had 5 different things out of 8. So the thing would be out of 40. So what I want to do is click over here, and I highlight the cell, and I go down to explore, right? And if I tap on that, I can have a look at the different sheets that I have. So let me go back to this in a moment. Actually, sorry. I'm first going to go up here. I'm getting ahead of myself here. If I've highlighted that and I click functions, I can choose sum, and then I'm going to get. Oh, I got to put that. Sorry. Yeah, I got to make this a little bit smaller here. There. I'm going to click on the cell. I'm going to click sum. Why did that not work? Help me out there, Gary. Hold on a sec.
Zoom in a little because I can't really see. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me zoom in. Hold on a sec here. I've got.
Or you can just press equal sign and then sum. Type the word
right?
sum. Sign.
And I got to put the. Well, I'm in there right now. There we go. We've got it.
You forgot to include the range, so
And
you highlight
all of those.
Okay. Okay. This is what we do. We click equal sign.
Yep.
Equal sign. You go to that particular cell. Equal sign, and then sum.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Sum, right?
Equal sum. Open parenthesis.
Yep.
Then you highlight the range of cells.
Okay.
Go ahead. Highlight from the column, the first column that you need to add. Go ahead. There you go. And then
and click that, and there we go. Now the nice thing here too. All right, thank you, Gary. I don't know why that I got a little bit funky there. We should be able to go up here and do that too, but we can click here, highlight everything, and then Command or Control D, and then it does it for everyone. It does the mathematics automatically for you, which is really nice, right?
Undo it. Undo it. I have another trick.
Great. Go for it.
Undo.
Should I do this one too?
Just highlight that cell, the first cell.
Yep.
Go ahead, move the cell pointer, and then double click the lower right corner.
Oh, this
double
one.
Double click the lower right corner. Yeah. Yep. There you go. It does the same thing.
and that works for dates as well, everybody. That's what I use for dates. I've never used that actually.
Days for days of the week.
Yep.
And if you highlight a series, it will also work for. And it will give you a series.
Yep. Exactly. And
exciting.
Yeah, that didn't work as well. Hold on. Yeah. So that's a nice way to get your total grades. You're going to want to put. You want to put that there too, so you can see total and maybe highlight that in a different color, just to visually it's easier for you to see, right? Now, if you were to highlight these together, you go up, you should be able to click average, and then it's going to give you your average. So 29. So if I want to highlight these, go up here again, right to the functions button there, tap that, and if you want to get the sum of all of them, enter it, and then you've got the total 174 out of 6 students with out of 40 kind of thing. You wouldn't really need the sum. It's the total that you would be looking for, right? Let's delete that though. And let's go down to Explore here now that we've got some data in there. And so let's say I want to get a quick shot of my students, right? I just had to tap on that, hit my plus button there. Whoa. Let me just drag that out actually. Close that.
There you go.
And so there we are, right? So now you have to tap on it and then move it around wherever you want. But the nice thing is I could actually copy that, go into my Google Sheet, add a sheet, make it blank, paste it,
And then link it. Yeah, great.
and you got your link right up here, right? And so it could take you back to the spreadsheet. So if you're working with data for your staff, or if you want to show not individual students, but just take the average grades for all your assignments or something and go through it, you can do a quick slideshow with your students. Very, very cool stuff.
Yeah. And it will automatically update once the data are changed in spreadsheet. It will automatically update itself. So no
Exactly.
need to worry of copying and pasting it again. That's the best.
Exactly. Now remember too, when you hit Explore, you'll notice there for myself, when I clicked on the chart, look, you got a per chart version. You can pretty much choose what you like best. If you tap on it, it will put it in, but I couldn't see it underneath this, so I actually made a drag and drop version of it, and there we go. Right? You see how this is also highlighting, right? Pretty cool stuff. All right, so let's close that one up. Trying to be aware of the time here. So there's a way that you could use rubrics, for example. Let's see. We've been talking about filters. We showed you the filter earlier, so we're going to start winding down to. We showed you how to make graphs from sheets. That's probably the easiest way to do it. We're not going to get into pivot tables today because they're a little bit complicated, right? But with that Explore button at the bottom, that is your way in a Google Sheet to very quickly create a graph with the data that's in that sheet, and you copy it, paste it into a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, another Google Sheet, or a Google Slides. Take your pick. Now I'm going to hand it over to Gary here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a little while, and he's going to show you some add-ons. What are add-ons? Yep. They make your sheet much more functional. So let me just stop sharing my screen. I'll turn it over to Gary here.
Okay, let me share my screen. I have an example here. It's more of a sales, more of a, not really for teachers, but let's just say you have data like this one, and you want to know,
you're not sharing your screen right here. We need you to, I haven't given you access to that. There we go.
There you go. Okay, so right now I have here, let me zoom in. And if you will notice, I have a sales agent. So this is basically I use for economics class. So let's say we want to evaluate how many sales agent do we have. So John, Dennis, Veron, John, Dennis, Veron. So it's not really friendly. But if we want to know how many agents do we have, what we can do. So this is not yet an add-on. But if you want to find out how many sales agents you have, what you can do is you make use of the formula or the function unique, okay? So when you click unique, all you need to do is highlight the entire column. So we will not include the first row, which is the sales agent. And then when we press enter, it will give us, okay, where's that? There you go. So we have four sales agents. Now, let's say you want to see what are the transactions under John, under Dennis, under Veron, and the transactions of Nelson, for example. So using the two tabs, okay? So an add-on is basically, it will make your Google spreadsheet more powerful. So I have tons of, add-ons, okay? Let me focus on two tabs, okay?
You're like the add-on master.
Oh, yeah. So two tabs. I love two tabs. Why? Because if I want to separate the data that I have here by sales agent, it's so easy. Look what will happen if I use the two tabs. So click on add-on. So first you have to install the add-on two tabs, and then you click the show sidebar, okay? So now, since I want to split this data set by sales agent, all I need to do is click the sales agent here. So if you notice, we have here sales agent. And then the last step that you're going to do is click submit. Take note, how many sales agent do we have? 4. So it will create 4 different sheets with the name of the sales agent containing all the transactions for each sales agent. Okay, There you go. So I can now close this one, and you will see on my it created a new sheets, John. Okay, and it contains all the transactions of John, Dennis, and it will contain all the transactions of Dennis, Veron, and then Nelson. So that's how you separate all records specifically for uh, each column, depending on the column that you use. So in my case, I want to see all the transactions made by a sales agent. So that's what I'm going to select.
That's
Very, very
awesome.
easy,
Good, good,
right?
good for like a business class or an economics class, perhaps, or maybe
Yeah.
or for a teacher that has like some teachers have a lot of students, right?
Yes. So if you want to see the performance of each student, you can segregate them by name. So that's the first add-on. Okay.
All
Now
right,
let's say
show us more.
you conducted an assessment using Google Forms. I have here some quiz, a basic quiz. I implemented this with some during one of my trainings. Okay, so these are the questions. So now let's go to Flubaru. Let me check if I have Flubaru here. There you go, Flubaru. Flubaru, it will help us teachers. Let's say I have, how many records do I have? I have 55. Okay, I have 55 students, and it will take me 30 minutes maybe to check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions. Okay, now if I want to instantly check it, what our best friend is the add-on Flubaru. Okay, with Flubaru, you need to answer it first as a teacher. So my name is on top. That is the correct answer. So it will compare. If you know how to use a formula, if function, you can do this. But to save time, you can easily click on add-ons and then click Flubaru and then regrade assignment, because I have done grading this assignment. So it will ask me to update. So if there's a new version, there's an update. All I need to do is update, make sure that I agree. So here, normal grading, it is asking if I want to grade the period. The period is basically not included, so it's not. I have to skip grading that one, and then email address, I have to skip grading that one. The passcode is not graded, so I also need to say skip that one. Nickname, I don't grade that, so skip grading. So these are the items that I have to grade. So normal grading, let's say, oh, in the sentence, I traveled to Japan yesterday. So that's the question. Let's say that's 2 points. And this one, who wrote Romeo and Juliet, let's say that's 1 point. And there are blank 7 continents in the world. So that, let's say that's 2 points. So you give a weight for, not all questions are the same. Some are difficult, some are easy. So you can give points for each question. Let's say that's 4 points. And then let's say I'll put 3 here, and 1 inch is equal to, so it depends now, no? Okay, which of the following, okay, so let's say this is 2 points. So right now, 2, 4, that's 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 4 is 13. So anyway, not important because it will be computed for me. Next step is that you identify, okay, you must select one identifier. So basically, the identifier is the identities of the student, the email address, okay? Or you may also use the nickname. So click continue, okay? And then it will ask you which one is the correct answer. So since I have answered the quiz before I give it to my students, it automatically select the first one, okay? So the next one, the next step will be just click the continue button, and then you're done. All you need to do is wait for it to finish checking. It will give you the statistics of which question is difficult for the students generally, and I think so. Please wait while Flubaru is grading your assignment, so it will automatically create a new sheet and it will give you a summary. For each question, it will tell you, oh, a lot of people, a lot of students are, oops, there you go. If you notice, there are red and there are black, which means those who got red means they perform poorly in the exam, or no, not so well during the exam. But what's good here is that, let me just hide the names and their emails. Okay. So if you notice, total points, let me zoom in again. Okay, let me zoom in. Hmm. Okay, so if you notice, there's a percentage. The total number of points is 21. The average point is 10.06. So it gives you a statistical analysis of the entire class. And for each question, you will see that there are questions with the orange background, which means that the students find it difficult to answer this question, column N, column P, or this highlighted questions. And you will see at the bottom part the performance of the entire class. See, only 7 point, okay, let me zoom in again. Only 7.69 got the correct answer for this particular question. So, wait, I'm zooming
That
in
means,
too much.
and that means, hey, I got to go over this stuff again because the majority of the class
Yes,
doesn't
you
understand
have
how
to
to do it.
repeat because they don't understand much this particular question. So that's what good with Flumbaru. Instant checking, and there is the statistics for each question and as a whole.
And
So another on.
let me throw out there too, like why not do that with the numbers and all that as a formative assessment before you teach the thing, and then you'll get an idea of what they already know, or before you do a formal test or an exam, give them that to see what you have to focus on in terms of reviewing, right?
Yeah, so we
Great
can
tool for
assist
that,
our students properly.
and it's far
Hey,
more specific than a Google form, which is great.
yes. So let me stop sharing. So there are, if you notice, I have plenty of tabs. Plenty of add-ons. So I love add-ons. I love Google Sheets.
Oh yeah, I noticed you got a million add-ons here. I mean, I got a few, but my goodness, you're the add-on master. Okay, I'm just going to quickly create a blank spreadsheet here because I want to show something. All right, so we're getting to the point where we're going to slowly kind of wind down. Note that there are some other, not 50 million, but a few other add-ons in the slide deck that we've got linked. So go ahead and have a look. But what we want to do now is show you a few things that you can do that are related to Google Sheets that are either going to save you time or you might have a little bit of fun with it. So let me just share my screen here. All righty. So first one that I'm going to show you is how you can get from a data table. Get a data table from a website. Sorry for the grim topic, but it's very current. So if I scroll down here, you notice that look at this data table. This is great, but I can't copy the whole thing. This is going to be insane to try to put that in a sheet, right? So the thing is, in this spreadsheet, all these things are not tables. They're all little packages of algorithm. This is the first table that I see here. So I want to look at all these countries in the world and get that data. So actually, all I had to do is copy that, right? This is more like a demo slam now, right? Copy the URL. And then if you go down and in your first cell here, right? All you have to do is tap in the first cell and click equal, right? Equals. And then HTM. Oh, sorry. There we go. Where? No, I want to go format HTML. Why is that? Am I not?
Yeah.
Because I can't type. That's why.
Okay.
Whoa. Hold on. It should be actually HTML. Why is that not popping up here? Boy, nothing's working for me here. I was doing this just the other day.
Not working.
Yep, there's something going on here. It's like it's a formatting thing, though. Okay, you know what? We're going to come back to that next time. All right. Anyway,
Next time.
I'm not sure why that's happening, though. Boy, that's going to drive me nuts. Insert, that's what it was. I'm just forgetting. Insert HTML. That should be coming up.
So not there.
Yep. Well, hold on a sec, folks, because I know. Yeah. Equals insert. Well, what should pop up, folks, is insert HTML. You should be able to tap something and then create that data table. Well, that's a real bummer. I don't know what's going on there.
I'll have to try it. It's not working either.
Yeah, you got to give it a try sometime. All right. Anyway, we're winding down here anyway. So let me bring you into flippity.net. All right. So this is linked to the Google Sheet. The Google spreadsheet or the slide deck. Here are all some things that are by this developer that calls themselves Flippity. So you've got like a quiz show, kind of like a Jeopardy show. You got flashcards to study and review. You have timelines, for example. You can create badges and track them. Essentially, what you would do is choose whatever one you want and then click on template. So if you click on that, what you're going to get is a Google Sheet that's already made for you. Okay. Now, this one was the template, and I just went in and changed all the different categories. You do have to go up to category 6. These I'm actually going to take out because you don't need those. All right. Now, what you want to do, so you go in and change all your data. You got the question, you got the answer. A question for 200, answer for 200, right? You go to File, you choose Publish to the Web. Now, I've already done this. So you would click Publishing down there. And then in your next tab here, all you have to do is tap on that web link. And now you've got a URL to a Jeopardy game, which is really, really cool. You could add more teams or you could take teams away. And then so one of the students says, okay, I'll take the UN in general for 100. And then you get this. In what city is the United Nations headquartered located? And then the student gives you the answer. And then you tap, and yes, New York, USA. You tap again, and it brings you back to the board. And this is not highlighted. The only thing is you do have to put in the points manually yourself. It doesn't automatically go from one team to another. But that's from this thing called Flippity. Very, very easy to use. And you've got it for life. And you can also actually make a copy of the whole sheet if you want. And then all you have to do is just republish it and then repaste it again, which is pretty freaking cool, I think, right? So another one is called Awesome Table. Now, I started working on an awesome table. I'm going to go to my awesome table, which actually I've linked right here. Now, Awesome Table, what it does is give you these different templates of things that you can use and embed in your websites, right? And they just give your website something that looks a little bit better, so that they're getting really good with like maps and things like that. What I'm planning on doing for Google Educator Group Nagoya's Google site that we have is to create this awesome table. The one that I chose is, if you go to the template gallery, you can see this one right here, Post-it notes, because I like how Post-it notes give me a little snapshot. Now, I haven't gone as far as to change the images here, but you can do that. I'll let you, try that on your own. But if I was to take this URL, right? So I've got my URL, and if I go to my Google site, I'm going to go down to the bottom here, just kind of show you how this works. And if I go to embed, and I'm going to embed by URL. The embed code often doesn't work, I find. Whoa, that's not the one I want. Look at that. Let me just go back here and tap that. Let me copy it. Copy my link. Let me paste it there. That's going to load. I click Insert. Wait for my view if I want. Expand that just a little bit. Now, what the intention is, all of our events, we're going to put in an awesome table. So people get a snapshot of what the event looks like. And then they have these active links that tell them or take them to where you want them to go. So let's preview that. So now if I go back to the website, scroll down here, and now I've got this awesome table. So our event page, isn't that awesome? And then I can put a little snapshot of what the event's about, have the date in there, click on more info, and it'll take them to a registration page or maybe the actual details page kind of thing. So that's called Awesome Table. I encourage you to try that. It's very, very cool. And
I also like their directory wherein you can filter automatically. You can look for the person by typing the name, and then it will filter all, let's say Garcia. It will show all the records with the last name Garcia. So you don't have to be a programmer to create something that sophisticated. Just make use of awesome table.
Exactly. And you notice I kind of jump out of here because I just don't like to give up on things. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to say let's leave it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And if you want to know how to do that, go to socialstudiessamurai.com and look for the Google Forms tutorial. Actually, it'll show you how to. Actually, it says how to get data from a website. Okay, so we're going to kind of wind things up, and we're just going to go with the obviously. Thank you for joining us. And in fact, I am going to share my screen one more time. I lied. Because we just want to give you a couple of reminders here. Okay, now again. And we will do this little presentation bit. So we are GEG Nagoya, Google Educator Group Nagoya.com. We are passionate educators that do this as a volunteer basis. We are not paid. We get paid by meeting cool people like you that jump into these online webinars and face-to-face events. So with GEG Nagoya, you can reach us at www.gegnagoya.com. And Gary?
GEG Ortigas. You may visit my website, www.edtechandbeyond.com.
And the nice thing is
I have posted in my Facebook page our next event. We will have an event on Friday for STEM teachers, for math teachers. How do you do distance learning for science and math teachers? That's on Friday for GEG Ortigas. And on Sunday, I will have my Learn with Adrian and Gary. So please tune in to GEG Philippines. I am also announcing it there. GEG Philippines is GEG Ortigas also.
So, all right, yeah, lots going on there. So check out edtechandbeyond.com, everybody. And you notice too, we've got somebody in Japan and somebody in the Philippines. So it doesn't really matter where you are in the world. If it's the right time zone for you, you can join us. Now, keep in mind, there's GEG Asia Pacific Connect. Just Google it, and we will come up and see some events that are being planned right now. We'll be coming at you at the end of the summer or the beginning of the fall, maybe sometime in September. And finally, GEG Nagoya, next month, we will be first or second week of July. We're going to be putting on a shorter episode on using Google Drawing, creating visuals with Google Drawing. Way cool stuff. And again, if you want to become Google certified at level 1, check out gegnagoya.com. We have a study group where registration ends this Sunday, June 14th, and we begin within the first 2 weeks, and we'll meet for 5 online sessions every 2 weeks over the summer. And when we're done, you should be ready to take that exam and pass it with confidence. So thank you, everyone, for joining in. My name's Nate. It's great to see you. Gary, we're going to give the last word to you, my friend.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe and take care.